So how do I turn free work into paid work? What's shaking bacon? I'm Joni Simon, food photographer. Welcome to my studio. Today, I'm tackling some really great questions around the topic of when to work for free, how to turn it into paid work, and how we use that in terms of marketing our businesses. Because last week, I hosted a free workshop all about how to book more clients, building your business. We had so many great questions in the Q&A, and I wasn't able to get to all of them, so I'm going to answer some of those here today. Now, we also have another free workshop in January all about leveling up your food photography income. So if you want to join us for that, go ahead and click the link in the description box below. But now all the questions I'm going to be answering today are all dealing with that theme of working for free, when to do it, how to do it, best practices. So first question, is it a good idea to offer a restaurant a complimentary photo shoot of 3 to 5 dishes to start the relationship? So my very first clients and where I started out my food photography business was in restaurants. And there were definitely a couple of shoots very early on that I did complimentary. But it was sort of with the context that I approached the restaurant and said, hey, I'm going to be creating some content for my social media. I'd love to come in and photograph a couple of your dishes. In exchange for allowing me to do that, I'd love to provide you the images for free. Not only was this a great experience just to be inside a restaurant, feel what that feels like to try to do a photo shoot inside a restaurant, get familiar with the needs of restaurants. But then the beauty of it is one of the restaurants that I did that for, I ended up using those images in my portfolio, shared them out on social media, tagged the restaurant, all that good stuff. But then they came back around a little while later, one of their PR folks, and said, hey, actually, we need to photograph our entire new spring menu. Would you mind coming back in? Could we hire you to do our food photography? And I was like, absolutely. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I charge? And so if you are just getting started and you want to get your feet wet, build your confidence, start to build your portfolio, I think it's great to offer a complimentary photo shoot. But I would not continue to do that forever. I would put a limit on that. Say, maybe I'm going to do this for like 3 or 4 restaurants, maybe 5 restaurants. And I wouldn't do more than maybe like 2 or 3 dishes. That's just me personally. That's kind of like my gut feeling. Like kind of think about it like Costco samples. Just give them a little taste test and leave them wanting more. I also think it's smart to approach it from the standpoint of they're doing you a favor in this situation and you have a specific reason that you are wanting these photos so that then in the future, if they want more photos, they know that they're not going to continue to get those for free. I just think it sets up the relationship really nicely. I think it leads with generosity, but it opens the door for opportunity. Question number 2 is when working for free, what boundaries do you put in place in order to protect yourself? And this is such a great question. And honestly, when I was doing some of those first photo shoots for free, I didn't have the presence of mind or even the knowledge to put any sort of boundaries or limitations or contracts in place. But in hindsight, and if you're going to take on this approach, I do recommend having a contract in place for them to sign, just so that, first of all, it presents you as a professional, that they go, oh, this person's the real deal, right? Because if you've got a contract, you're legit, right? But also just stating in terms of the copyright and the ownership and any sort of limitations with those images. Now, to be honest, I would imagine that you'd be doing this for smaller local businesses, so you're not opening yourself up to a ton of liability. Like to do a free photo shoot for Coca-Cola, would not recommend. Doing a free photo shoot for the local mom and pop restaurant around the corner, 100%. But that local mom and pop restaurant is not going to be placing that image on a billboard in Times Square. So in terms of the potential usage of those images, it's fairly limited. So I would be generous and give them unlimited perpetual use of those images as a small business. But I would make it clear, just like as a part of my standard contract, that the copyright is still continuing to be mine. They're not able to resell these images or manipulate these images or, distribute them to third parties. If you need help with getting a contract in place, I will be sure to link some resources down below for you to go check out. But I do think having a contract in place is going to set you up for success. So question number 3 about doing work for free. And by far and away, this was one of the most popular questions. We received this from so many people is how do I turn free work into paid work? And along those same lines is how long is it reasonable to continue to do free work for somebody in exchange for product? And so to answer the second part of that first is one time. I just do one freebie and that's it. If you want to continue this relationship, you got to pay. But to bridge that gap from free to paid, how I navigate that, I feel like it really helps to tell you a specific story that is pretty much my pat answer, my pat method for this. And this is particular into working with brands, which is I think where a lot of this is coming from, because maybe you are like me and there are brands who reach out, they show up in your DMs and they say, hey, we love your images, we love your work, we love your content, what have you. We'd love to send you some free product. And I always see this as a moment of opportunity to start a relationship, and number two, get an email address. Because in my business, in terms of marketing, I live and die by email addresses. And so if they've DM'd me, I don't necessarily know who that person is. Maybe they've shared their name, but it may just be they're representing the brand. And so when I respond via DM, I say, thank you so much. Would love to talk more details. Go ahead and email me. Here's my email address. And this accomplishes two things. For one, if they do actually email me, it means that they're serious. And two, then I've got somebody's actual email address as opposed to a nameless DM. Because with an email address, it's now personal and it is easier to follow up with that person. And so a recent example of this from a couple months ago is there was a non-alcoholic spirits brand reached out to me just like that. I said, go ahead and email me. Would love to send you the details. They did email me, introduce themselves. Then I know that person's first name. I've got their email address. I add that into my CRM system, my customer relationship management system, into my contacts so I can contact them in the future. Gave them my address, they shipped me the product, and I shared about it on Instagram stories. No big deal. But then what really helps us move from free to paid is then taking the initiative after you've posted whatever it is that you've agreed to post or share about, is that maybe 3 or 4, 5, 6 weeks later, after a certain amount of time has passed, come back around to that direct contact that you have and pitch them an idea for a paid piece of content. Say, hey, I really loved your product. It was so much fun to work with. I had an idea. What would you think about X? You know, me making a reel, me doing this. And then if you're interested, I'd love to hop on a call just to discuss more of what you're trying to accomplish from a marketing perspective. And then I can put together a budget for you. And then at that point, they may say, no, thank you so much. We're not investing in partnerships or collaborations or content or work or what have you at this point. But maybe they say, oh, that's actually awesome. And yeah, we do have some budget available. Would love to have a discussion. And so yes, there is a certain amount of risk in this scenario that maybe it never goes anywhere, but there are definitely situations, for me in the past, plenty of situations where it has turned into paid work later and then an ongoing relationship if they like working with you. And I will tell you the secret, the thing that's going to help you continue to get hired over and over again by brands, by businesses, by restaurants, I don't care who it is, the thing that is going to make them love you is if you are a great communicator, that you're prompt, you're timely, you get back to them, you give them great ideas, you give them feedback, you engage. So really honing in on your communication skills is just as important, if not more important, than working on your photography skills. Now, we had about an hour of Q&A as a part of the free workshop, and of course, the free workshop in and of itself of how to get more clients and have fun doing it. So if you want to watch the replay of that, we do have that available. It's linked down in the description box below. We'd love to have you check it out. And again, join us for our January workshop. So thank you so much for the great questions. I hope you have a fantastic day. You stay out of trouble, and I'll see you soon, all right? Bye.